Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 30 female, got married 4 years ago to James, 32 male. James has 2 children with his ex. My stepson is 10 and my stepdaughter is 9. I love my stepchildren and I try to be a good stepmom. Not the crazy evil kind, or the kind who wants the kids all to herself and tries to screw over the biological parent. I see my role as being an additional adult in their lives who contributes to their security. But I don't believe I am an equal parent. They don't see me that way, and that is totally fine and lines up with my experiences with friends who had step-parents, even from very young ages. I dated James knowing he had children, and I always wanted to be one of the step-parents who the kids were glad to have in their lives, not the ones tolerated for the sake of their parent. My husband's family do not have these same expectations, and during my pregnancy, I've struggled with that. To my in-laws, I'm an equal parent. I'm a third-time parent, and not pregnant for the first time. This has been a difficult expectation for me. I feel like my whole pregnancy has been compared to the ex's pregnancies with my stepchildren. Some comments get made by mother-in-law and father-in-law, like, oh, the other 2 weren't that bad, because I had such extreme morning sickness that led to a hyperemesis gravidarum. Or when we found out the gender of the baby, and it was mentioned we didn't find out with my stepchildren. My husband told them it wasn't like I was involved in either of those pregnancies, but it went over their heads. My sister suggested throwing me a baby shower, and it was mentioned by mother-in-law that you only have a baby shower with your first, and how inappropriate one for the third would be. She said people would judge so harshly for that decision. This has weighed on me. It makes me feel jealous, which is new, and I wallowed for a while in how unfair it is that my husband went through this twice before, and it means his family expects me to give up first-time experiences like a baby shower, or that they compare my pregnancy to his ex's 2 pregnancies. I was worried it would make me a worse stepmom feeling that way, and so I started therapy. My husband and I did talk a little, but he couldn't completely understand how I felt. He told me it wasn't bad to feel a little unsettled by the comments, and he would do better to end them. But I told him I did not want that jealousy to fester and grow, or for it to become resentment toward him or my stepkids. So I started therapy 6 weeks ago. My husband was so frustrated with his family starting all this, that a week ago when they made another comment about the baby shower, he told them it was that crap that sent me to therapy. They asked what that was supposed to mean, and he told them they made me feel like crap for experiencing my first pregnancy, and he was over how they responded to my pregnancy. This started an argument between him, his mom, and his brother, and then my husband's family claimed I was weaponizing therapy and overreacting to a situation I signed up for. Am I the a-hole? It's OP's first pregnancy, and she should enjoy it, and all her first times that come with it, and not being constantly compared to her husband's ex. She needs to shut it down, to be honest. I think OP's in-laws are allowing themselves way too much. OP has a right to her baby shower, and she should definitely have it. Absolutely more boundaries need to be set for them, and husband really needs to try harder to get it into in-laws' heads that this is OP's first baby. Well, even if it would be her second, they don't have a right to compare or criticize. And OP better damn well throw that baby shower and not invite them. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Coastal Kid 92 says, "Oh honey, no. You're not an a-hole in the slightest here. Even if you felt that you were the third parent to your stepkids, this is still a new experience for you. It's a new experience for your body and will be your first time raising an infant. And the fact that they are disregarding that is actually insane on their part. I can't tell you what their motivations in all of this is. Whether they think somehow they're protecting your stepkids from feeling like other, or what. But I think you need to take a little break from them and do the things that spark happiness as you're adding to your family." Wonderful Kneecap says, "I'm sorry, but your in-laws are just making crap up. You only throw a shower for the first baby? Who has ever heard of this? It's total BS. Also, it is your first child. I've never been invited to a baby shower for a straight dad. They're for the expectant mother. You absolutely deserve a shower, and congratulations on your pregnancy, not the a-hole." Altruistic Barry says, "So your hubby has his whole family on his side, spewing nonsense like you weaponizing your therapy, And you're sitting all alone on your end of the table, trying to fight for your right to have mixed emotions about a crappy situation you were forced into. Interesting husband you've got there. For context, I, 23 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 24 male. We'll call him Jake, for 2 years. Our relationship has always been really great, besides the fact that he has a girl best friend, 23 female. We'll call her Abby. Abby and Jake have known each other since they were toddlers, and their families are very close, as in they go on vacations together all the time, have family game or movie nights every Friday, and pretty much are neighbors. I love my boyfriend so much, and I get along great with his family. His siblings are the sweetest, and I always go shopping or to the movies with them, and I'm very close to his mom. She's even said that I'm like a daughter to her, and hopes that very soon she'll be able to call me her daughter-in-law. Now, anyways, it's clear Abby has never liked me, but I stay cordial for the sake of my relationship. Abby would call my boyfriend every day and try to stay on the phone for hours. I spoke to my boyfriend about it multiple times, and he said he would limit the times he talks to her, and although I have seen some improvements, it's not as much as I would have hoped for. Abby has always given me backhanded comments, and whenever we are in groups together, she'll find any excuse to be next to Jake or try and touch him. One incident of this happening was when we were going on a trip to Hawaii, and everyone had assigned seats. I, of course, was supposed to sit next to my boyfriend and told him to go along because I was going to help his mom put up her bags. When I'm finally done and head to my seat, I see Abby sitting in mine with a huge smirk resting her head on his shoulder. I asked her what she thought she was doing, and she said sitting in my seat, obviously. We went back and forth, me explaining this was my seat, and she said, "Okay, it's just a seat. Go take mine. You're not going to die." In that moment, the flight attendant came up to us and asked me to take my seat. I explained to her I couldn't, as Abby was in my seat. I showed her my ticket, which has my seat on it, and she made Abby get up. Honestly, I no longer wanted to sit there, as my boyfriend stayed quiet the entire time and didn't say anything to her. But I also wasn't going to let her have her way. Abby gets up, visibly upset, and shoulder checks me as she leaves. I couldn't help but laugh, which made her even more mad. But she couldn't do anything about it, so she had to sit on the other side of the plane. Thank God. Anyways, I had a talk with my boyfriend about setting boundaries with Abby, and he agreed. Jake 100% kept true to his word. The trip went amazing. Abby kept trying to ruin things, but he barely spent time with her, as much as she tried to get him to, and only did when everybody got together. I thought things had changed, but boy was I wrong. After the trip, he went back to his old self, disregarded all boundaries. I tried talking to him about Abby's behavior, and he said it's fine. She's just like that. She means no harm, so I should just get over it. This left a bad taste in my mouth, but I decided to just go about my day as if he never said that. Now, I should make it clear we all share the same friends. We all decided to go out to a dinner for my birthday, and without telling me, Jake invited Abby. I spent the day with my parents and siblings, so we decided to just meet at the restaurant. When I got there, most of our friends were already there, including Jake and Abby. Jake was between Abby and one of our mutual friends. This completely ruined my night, as when I saw them, Abby and Jake were laughing, his hand on her knee, and her arm intertwined with his. I asked Abby if she could move as I wanted to sit next to my boyfriend, and the way she was acting was highly inappropriate. Before she could respond, Jake has the audacity to say, "Come on, OP, don't start." Abby starts laughing and says, "OP, when are you going to learn? I will forever be his #1 girl." At this point, I was filled with rage, but couldn't help but start crying and left. As I left, some of our friends decided to leave as well, but Jake and Abby stayed with the rest laughing. I was completely embarrassed and drove home. When I finally got home, I packed a small bag and went to my parents' house. I explained to them what happened, and they said I could stay as long as I needed. Around 2 a.m., I assume that's when Jake finally went home, because he started bombarding my phone with calls and messages. I didn't answer any, and simply turned my phone off. When I looked in the morning, the messages spanned from apologizing to calling me a sensitive bee, then apologizing again. I simply said I needed space, and would talk to him when I decided if I was going to stay with him or not, then blocked his number. I have some friends taking my side, but others calling me childish. I'm not sure if I want to talk to my boyfriend's parents about this yet, but am I the a-hole? Run, OP, run. Honestly, after he called you a sensitive witch, that was the lowest of the low. I can't stand when people start calling each other names. Girls, never date or marry a guy who would dare to call you a B or other names. It shows they have no respect for women. To be honest, I'm surprised OP has tolerated this situation this long. OP's boyfriend has shown that he has no plans to have boundaries with her. No self-respecting girl would tolerate the in-your-face stuff he allowed from his friend. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Rude Flamingo says, "Sorry girl, he's shown his true colors. Intertwining hands on your birthday dinner? I'm 41, pretty logical and level-headed about things, and even I find that ridiculous on their part. Find yourself a man that treats you better. Newsflash, they exist, and you will. Seriously though, you will find love again. You will laugh and be in love again. Just don't see this happening with Jake." Far Season says, "Not the a-hole. He showed you that you'll always be second to her. No sense wasting any more time." No Thanks says, "Can you update us when you dump him? Make sure to not let him and Abby set the narrative with his family. Text his parents goodbye and let them know you enjoyed getting to know them and why you'll no longer contact them. And tell them what their son wrote to you in his text and how him and Abby were intertwined at the bar." We had the in-laws over for dinner and I made steak, everyone's favorite. I'm a medium rare gal, so is Hubs. So I got us some nice ribeyes, which I cooked in the sous vide and then seared. My in-laws like their meat well done, beyond well done, honestly. Like cooked to the point where it practically disintegrates into dust because you've obliterated every drop of moisture within a square mile. Straight up shoe leather. I don't refuse to make it that way. It's not my place to tell someone how to enjoy their meal. They will answer for their crimes when they are standing at the gates of hell. But I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on 2 more ribeyes that were just going to get ruined. They wouldn't even want to keep the fat caps on theirs, so they really were going to end up as a couple of indistinct gray bricks. So I went ahead and just got 2 manager specials of a much cheaper cut. We ate dinner to no complaints. They both loved the solid blocks of pure carbon that I served up. But then mother-in-law took it upon herself to snoop through my purse for the grocery receipt. Honestly, kind of par for the course with her, and a whole other can of worms for another time. And I got caught red-handed. Gray-handed? They're offended that I served them a second-class meal. I'm over here like, come on, come on. Hubs thinks I should apologize since it's kind of a bad look. But my only regret is that I didn't cover my tracks better. Burning Sands 06 says, "Let me get this straight. They enjoyed the meal until they saw the price tag? What I really want to know is how she gets away with snooping through your purse like it's perfectly normal. Not the a-hole at all." Emerald Athenry says, "Not the a-hole, and here's why. She didn't overhear you chortling to your sister about this. She didn't even see the butcher's paper in the trash and make a deduction. She went into your purse to check what you'd spent. And your steak decision is a bad look? Oh, ma'am, no. You're not in the wrong here at all, top to bottom. Your mother-in-law wouldn't have known if she hadn't been pawing through your personal property. Don't address the meat at all until she apologizes for snooping. And I'd honestly put Hubs in the shoe leather meat menu for having any reaction outside of, 'I'm so sorry my mom had the audacity to do that. You will never be disrespected in your own home like that again,' followed by immediately dressing her down and telling them to leave. He may have been raised by a pair of boorish Neanderthals who think that behavior is okay, but it's not. And that needs to be brought up before anything else." Mrs. Chicken Pam says, "Not the a-hole. Mother-in-law shouldn't have snooped. You can save yourself by saying that her cut of meat is more ideal for her doneness choice, and that your cut of meat, while ideal for medium rare, loses all the flavor, via the fat getting burned away, when cooked well. So you wanted to provide her with a more flavorful meal." So my 22 female, older brother, 30 male, has a wealthy friend, 30 male. His friend comes from old money, plus they run a successful startup together. Over the last year or so, they've been expanding the business. I go to college and currently live with my parents and sister. I'm the least aware of my brother's business dealings out of the whole family, so typically my parents, sister, will let me know of any serious news. Well, apparently there have been some financial mistakes, and my brother owed his friend $10K. I didn't know all the details until my brother came up to me one evening and said that I can help. He explained that his friend was willing to overlook the debt if I went on a few dates with him. I was pretty confused as to why I was thrusted into this situation. I'm not even that well acquainted with his friend, and wanting to date me came out of nowhere. I immediately told my brother that there's no way I'd date, aka sleep, with his friend, just because he owes him money. The whole proposal made me feel really gross and cheap. He has been begging me for days to help out, and that I'm his only ticket to clearing that $10K. Even his friend reached out, and the conversation made me feel really awkward. I feel like I'm being pimped out by my brother and treated like some object to clear his debt. Now my brother, as well as my parents, are angry at me for not dating his friend. They said that nobody expects me to have S with the guy, so I should just go on the dates to help my brother, his reputation. They're saying that I'm very unsupportive and selfish. Am I the a-hole for not going along with the plan? Tarzan Kitty says, not the a-hole. If your brother wants the debt forgiven, he can duck his buddy himself. Tell your brother to stop acting like your pimp. If you were going to sell your butt for 10 grand, you would be keeping the 10 grand and not gifting it to your brother. Tell your parents they are free to duck this dude to clear their little boy's debt. Simple Inflation 449 says, yeah, no man is paying $10,000 just for a dinner date. He 100% expects S as payment for your brother's debt. Don't go on this date. It's 100% not just the date. Petronsky says, not the a-hole. If my friend told me he'd overlook that kind of debt if I pimped my sister out to him, not only would he never see a penny from me, but he'd be owing me and my sister $10,000 for every tooth he hopes to keep in his mouth.